All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So we're going to cover some command line tools in here. How many people are command line masters in this room? Let's have a. Okay, that's a bold statement. Even I don't say that anymore. So, because there's always something that you don't know, right? So real quick before I get started, my name is Pratik Patel. I work at Azul Systems, and we make JVMs, and that's all we do. We have some really cool stuff. I'm going to demo one of those really quickly as part of this command line tools thing, which is Azul Zulu, which is our 100% free and open source OpenJDK build. I encourage you to use it. It's going to be free forever. So let's get started since we have a small amount of time. Now, if you have a question while I'm going through this, please, I can't really see anything because of the lights. Please feel free to shout out your question. Like if I'm doing something and you want to try it, why not, right? We'll pray that the demo gods are kind to us today, all right? All right, so first one I want to talk about is sdkman. How many people have heard of this specific tool, sdkman? Okay, good. Oh, that's a lot of folks. Okay, and you use that to install your Java stuff, right? Yes, okay, perfect. So what I just typed in, let me start over here. Okay, what I just typed in was SDK list Java, and this will list all of the different Java builds that you can get. And of course, the best Java build to install for development and for production is Azul Zulu. How many people use Azul Zulu or any Azul JVM? Perfect, okay. Meet me later, I'll buy you a drink. I'm not joking, so. So you can see all the different builds of the different versions of OpenJDK you can use. And to install one, I'm not going to do this because, you know, Wi-Fi and all that. But you can simply say SDK install Java. Install Java. And then I could just go copy and paste one. I don't know if I have the latest 23.2. whatever. But you can go and run. Ooh, not available. That's weird. OK. I may not be on the Wi-Fi properly right now. Maybe I just need to do this. Let's see. Okay, so this is going to install. I may or may not let finish. It's actually the Wi-Fi is fast. That's interesting. So anyways, you can have multiple installs of different JDKs because I'm sure like everybody else who's a Java developer in this room, you typically don't just work on one JVM. You probably use multiple JVMs. So this is what I use to switch between different versions. So for example, this just installed Java 23, the Zulu build of Java 23. And if I want to use a different one, I can come into here and say SDK use Java 17.0.12-Zulu. And, oh, shit. Let's try this again. Sorry. Ooh. OK. We'll say SDK use this one. And then I can say Java-version, and you can see that this has switched to the new version, or this different version of Java. And of course, I can switch back to, which one did I just install? 23? Let's see if I just do this, what happens. Nope, it'll say can't find that, because you have to be a little bit more specific. So I'll say, let's go and use that first specific version of Java. So this is a great tool for managing your Java builds. And actually, sdkman can also be used for managing other things aside from your Java builds. So anyways, that's the first command line tool. Okay. And let's get into some other ones real quick. So another one that I really like is this thing called EZA. Okay, so you probably do this a million times a day. Oops, that's clear. Right, you probably do LSL a million times a day. Let me go back a directory. We'll do ls-l on this, right? But instead of doing that, what you can do is use this thing called EZA, and it gives you a little bit nicer format. You can see it's all colorified, and it looks really nice. And one of the reasons I like this is that it can also do things like tree traversal. So I can say, go and list out all the things in this directory and all subdirectories to this tree depth. So I've specified 3 here. Obviously, I only have 1 layer deep of directories, actually 2 layers, but it gives it this nice tree format, right? So it's a nice way to just see what you got in a specific directory, and it prints it out very nicely. And what I actually do is I have this alias that I set up for basically alias it to LL, and I use EZA to do it. Now I can do LL, and one of the reasons I like this is because you can see that I've put a couple of hints in here. I have the -LA, so show me everything, including dot files, and -- group directories first. So all the directories will be first, and then all the files will be underneath it. So it just makes it a little bit easier to navigate and find something quickly. Okay. Now, another thing that I like using quite a bit for doing various tasks is something called watchexec. And what that will do is it essentially watches this directory and runs something when something has changed in that directory. So I'll say watchexec -EZA. Let's see if the alias works. I don't know if I've tried this before. Uh-oh, not found. Yes, it's an alias, so it won't find that. So we'll just say EZA. instead, right? So then we have this file. Now this thing is running, and now if I go back into that directory, and let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see it, dev-cli, and then I'll just do touch. If you watch this screen over here, let's move this down here, touch. A file hello, you'll see that it saw that a file was detected in it, and it went and kicked something off. So I use this a lot of times to start some unit tests, like when something has changed in the subdirectory, or to send an automated message when a new file appears. I need to go process it, and it will go and either send me a message or kick off some kind of batch script to go do stuff with that file. Okay, so that's the second one. Now, how many people have used ffmpeg before? Anybody? Okay, so quite a few people. If you're not familiar with this, ffmpeg is the Swiss Army knife, if you will, or a general tool for going and working with different types of audio-video files. So in this specific folder, I have I live in the city of Atlanta, which is in the southeast U.S., so I found this nice short video that we could do some stuff with. But what it lets you do is let you do different types of conversion, reoriented. Why is this not loading? This is taking way too long. Okay. So anyways, this is the beautiful city of Atlanta, downtown. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this command. I'm not going to try to type this out because this is a little bit extensive, as you can see. Okay. But I'll explain what this command does in just a second. All right. So let's see what we have. We have this Atlanta time lapse, which is the video that's running in the background. And I'm going to run ffmpeg to rescale it. So the command here, why is this? Okay, so I say the input file is that original MP4. I want to scale it from its current, -1 means just from current to 480. I believe this file is 720p right now. Is that right? Yeah, this file was 720p. Okay, so or 720 wide, right? So I'm going to rescale it to be 480p. I'm going to say use this specific codec to do it, libx264. And I'm going to set the preset to be very slow to do a lossless conversion. The -C:\A means to copy the audio and finally output this file. Okay, so let's go run that, and it'll take a second to run, and you can see the speed at which is running. But in general, this is useful for doing all sorts of different things for audio and video files. I can use it to extract audio from a file. I can use it to rescale a file. I can also use it. Let's try it actually. I don't think I've done this, so let's open this up first. Okay, so there's my rescaled file, and let's go run this original again. I'm not sure why it's taking so long to start. It should just start like that, right? You would think at least, right? Okay, well, we'll just do this, okay? So this is the original at 720p. If I click here, you'll see that that didn't work for some reason. Wonderful. Right? Sometimes, okay, so there you go. Now you can see that has rescaled that file. Now, we could also do a conversion to a different format, and this is what's kind of cool about ffmpeg is that you can just give it a different, let me scroll up and show you what I did. Okay, so what I did is instead of outputting it to MP4, I put AVI, right? So that'll run, and that should give us the file in a different format, and all I had to do was change the extension from MP4 to AVI, and it inferred that I want to change the video container, i.e. the video format, to something else, and you can see here's my AVI file now, and if I drop this into here, it should also just work. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe? Yes? No? Okay, well, I don't know why that didn't work specific. Oh, there it goes. It took a second, okay? So anyways, you can see that I did a rescale, and I changed it from an MP4 to an AVI file, okay? All right, so let's look at a couple of things also very quickly. Now, there's a nice tool called PQ, or PQ, that is useful for running tasks in a series of order, right? So sometimes you want to do this, and then you want to do that, and then you want to do something else, right? You want to do 3 things or 5 things all in sequential order to do some kind of processing, and you don't want to write an application or write a shell script. You just want to run something. So first thing we'll do is you have to install PQ. It doesn't come installed typically on operating systems, but if you're running on a Mac, you can just do this, and that will install it. I'm not going to mess with my installation because, you know, don't want to mess with it. So we'll start up the PQ daemon. It's now running in the background. And of course, if we do PUE-H, oops, not that, -H, that will give you all the help tools here. But one of the things I do, I set up an alias to quickly add stuff into the queue. So I'll alias PAD or PQ add to basically be PQ add dash dash. Okay, so what I can do here is I'm just going to copy and paste all these to see how this will work. Okay, so we'll do PQ status, and then we'll add something. Okay, so you can see that when I did the status, it added a whole bunch of stuff to it, but you'll see that if I do PUEE status again, the last thing that I added, which was the previous step, we did the ffmpeg, the ffmpeg conversion here. So I just added it to the queue, so you can see that it's currently running in the background, or it's being managed by PQ, so I could actually go in, and if I wanted to, I could do PUE follow will allow me to follow that specific task. You can see it's number 20, so you can see that it's actually stuck because that file already exists, and that will not work. So what I need to do now is I need to remove that file, but I want to kill that job first because it's currently hung waiting for user input. So I'll do PQ kill number 20. Okay, so it's gone and killed that. Let's double check that that task is gone. It's been killed, as you can see here. Now I will go and add that again. I'm just going to be lazy and just go up, and we'll go run it. PUE status, and you can see it's running. And if I do follow with the process or the PQ ID of that thing, 21. Okay, you go. Okay, did I not delete the file? I must have forgotten. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, let's delete everything that is 480p just to be safe. Okay. Okay, let's just do it directly at RM Atlanta. We'll just delete them all. Okay, remove RM Atlanta. Okay, make sure we delete the right one, and now let's try it. Okay, we have to nuke the previous, or we don't have to, but we should probably nuke the previous one that was on there. So let's do a status. Okay, so it's still running, but remember when we looked at when we did a follow to look at the output, it was hung waiting for user input. So we'll do a kill on that guy, and now it's gone, and now it should work. Okay, so let's add it to the queue. Okay, we added the new task. So status. Okay, so now it's running, and then let's try to follow that, and we should be able to see this same output that we saw previously for that. Okay, so you can see, actually, there it is, it finished running, and then you can see that there's our converted file. Okay, so this is really handy. I use this quite a bit when I need to do a number of different things in succession, instead of waiting around my computer, typing something, waiting for it to finish, do something else, etc. It's a nice way to do that. And of course, I like to end this specific presentation on the find command. So how many people have used the find command in Linux or Unix before? Okay, so that's pretty much everybody. For those of you who haven't, this is one of my favorite things that I use all the time. So I could say go find something by name, find all the files that end in MP4. .mp4? Yeah, sure. .mp4, and then let's move them to the finished folder. Hopefully I don't mess everything up, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm saying find, dot means from this directory with the name of star.mp4, dash exec means go and run this other command. In this case, I'm using mv, which is move. The curly braces, it will basically do file substitution for every file that's found that matches the first part of it, and finish basically means the finished folder. So let me just make sure there's a finished folder in here. All right, so there is no finished folder. Let's go create that, finished. Okay, now let's go run this command. And of course, we just created the folder, but let's make sure it's empty. And it looks like we have one MP4 file in here, and it may actually find this other one. You know what? I don't know if this is going to work, so let's try it. Let's see if it moves the ones from the subdirectory also into it, because find doesn't just find in that directory, it goes all the way down the directory tree. So theoretically, it should move all these other ones. But let's go run it and find out what happens, okay? All right, so it did try to move the ones that were in the subdirectory also, but now if we go look at the finished folder, you can see that it found all the MP4 files and put it in here. And of course, the find command is extremely flexible. So I could say find everything from here that is of type file with the name of .mp4, and it will go find everything, which is the file name that way. Oops, I forgot to unquote that. Okay, I'll finish the quote, so it'll find everything here. And you could, if we switch this to directories, you can probably guess what's going to happen. It's not going to find anything that's of type directory or MP4. So, okay, I think my time is up. Is that right? Okay, so my time is up, and I don't want to make Matthias angry, so I'm going to get off the stage now. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some tips, please, if you have some tips for me, please send it. If you have some questions, you can reach me on LinkedIn or on Blue Sky. Let me go all the way back to the top. My alias there is PR Patel. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.